Looking for the end zone, and Jefferson! Touchdown, Minnesota! Here is McCaffrey, right side, breaks the tackle, good shooting move, gets it, still going! McCaffrey's gonna score! You don't have to necessarily get it all the way into the end zone. Gone for the end zone, it's a touchdown! T.J. Hawkinson! From the slot, there he goes! Saquon to the end zone, touchdown Giants! Step back, throws a fade, back shoulder, Cooper Kupp got it! Cooper Kupp brings it in!
Good evening, NFL DFS fans. Welcome back to Touchdowns for Doe. Jack, it is just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just me and you tonight, mate. No Mark. He's feeling a little bit under the weather.
He is. I hope he gets better soon. Yeah, he's feeling a little bit rough. So hopefully we'll be back to a free ball next week.
Yeah, indeed. And sorry we're a little bit late this week. We had a couple of issues on Tuesday that we didn't go ahead. But we are here. We can't let the week go by without giving you your weekly dose of NFL content. So we'll get right into it, Jack. Let's little bit of a recap of week 13. You had a pretty good week, didn't you? You joined an exclusive club of DFS players.
I did. I took down the Ashes League. I had a good week. To be fair, it kind of saved my week taking that down, really. But the whole week was, profitable. It was a decent enough week. I was quite happy with the way I built last week. I went into that slate with a sort of clear mind. I was like, I saw everyone was paying down at quarterback. I saw Purdy was getting popular, which was fine because he was very good anyway on the slate. So I played Purdy in cash, which was fine. I stayed clear of him in tournaments, and my plan was just to basically pay up at quarterback because I saw everyone was paying down at quarterback last week, and I was like, okay, I'm going to pay up at quarterback and then get to some other positions myself where I want to. I really like Sam Laporta, for example, last week, and I mean he was a standout tight end. You needed him last week, like you really did need him. Like he nuked the tight end position. I think he had like 140 yards and a touchdown. So he went nuts in that game. I've been picking on the Saints for a few weeks against the tight ends. They are very bad against the tight end position, despite people thinking that. I mean, for years they were very good against the position, against tight ends, but they're giving up a lot of yardage and chunk plays to tight ends right now. So I'm picking on that, and I'm also picking on the Carolina Panthers with running backs. I play running backs against the Panthers. It's an easy click. I don't care who the running back is. I'm going to play them. Probably going to be a bit difficult this week, I would imagine, with the tight end situation, because you've got the Panthers playing the Saints this week. So that's going to be harder to do. That probably avoid. But yeah, I went into the slate with a clear mind last week, and it worked out, and my plan worked out well, and I had a couple of lineups in the high 170s, 180s again. So when you're doing that, you're always going to cash, and that's the main thing.
Yeah, I was on the wrong side of the late slate really last week because I went with the kind of the Philadelphia side. Just because I honestly, I mean, we was talking about it in the chat, but I can't stand the 49ers. Like, I really can't stand them. That doesn't influence my DFS plays. Like, I'm happy to play 49ers players. I think I had Deebo Samuel's in my lineup, but I'd stacked a couple of the Philly pieces with Jalen Hurts, and obviously we know how that game went. But like I was jokingly saying to you and Mark and David in the secret chat about about the like I thought there was levels in San Francisco. I didn't feel like they'd come up against anyone of kind of Philadelphia's roster caliber this year,
Yep.
but made absolute light work of them. However, if you fell on the Philadelphia side rather than the 49ers side, that was painful. Going back to the Laporta pick, Jack, do you know what? I was looking, I was on kind of my final piece of my roster always ends up being flex. Like I put in the pieces around it, and then I kind of look at my flex and I think like, what do I want to go running back here? Do I want to go receiver? Depending on what it's looking like in terms of the matchups, it tends to be a receiver if the funds are a little bit lower, but if I've got the funds there and I think there's a running back who's kind of bell cow or productive, he might be my flex for the week. Rarely there's a tight end that finds the way into the flex. But I think there are weeks where that is absolutely a viable strategy, and that also makes your lineup even more unique because most people won't play double tight end because of the variance of the scoring in the position. But this week did present us with a couple of cheap tight ends that you could put in, and Laporta's obviously, he's been him and Amon-Ra have basically been 1A and 1B this year in Detroit. Laporta more so being the 1B. They've both been getting a lot of work. Jared Goff seems to really like Laporta, seems to trust him. The offense, kind of like Hawkinson never really worked in that offense, but the Lions are a different team now, coached by different people. I've no doubt he probably could have thrived in that offense in the same way Laporta currently is. But I think we were discussing in the chat about like Tyreek Hill had a good week this week. But Tyreek Hill he didn't score much, like he didn't score where you thought, do you know what, I absolutely need him in my lineup this week. There are some weeks where players just nuke, as you said, they go off, they break the slate, and you think, if I haven't got him, I ain't cashing. Simple as that.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like that this week with Hill, even though he scored well. You could take the savings elsewhere if you built your roster out in the right way. And Laporta is one that I missed on this week. You obviously didn't.
No, it's, I look for trends. I know that the Saints have been getting picked on by Titans on a weekly basis most of the season, to be honest. So it was an easy click. Laporta, really liked him. Like you say, we're going to get onto my Ashes build in a minute. I played double tight end in that because the other tight end I played offered huge salary relief to me. So it was easy to. It was an easy click. So yeah, but I mean, if you wanted sort of a big cash last week, you needed Laporta most definitely because he was the one standout of the position. Like there was no, I mean, I think he finished about 15 points in front of the nearest tight end to him, something like that. There was no one else near him, so he was the standout of the position. You needed him if he was going to cash big last week, and yeah, it's just one of the things. It worked out nicely for us, and we. I say I always go into a slate with a clear head, and it's always I know what I'm going to do, and I knew I wanted to pay up at quarterback last week because I saw everyone was paying down, which was it's fine. I pay down some weeks, but if I see everyone else is doing that, I'm going to go and do the complete opposite. I mention this on the show every week. Like if I see what people are doing, I will go and pivot onto the complete opposite thing and do something totally different.
Yeah. We've referenced your lineup, Jack. So let's have a look at it and see how you constructed your winning Ashes lineup team this past week. And now I said I have done a nice little graphic for you to celebrate your crowning moment in the way that it deserves. So here you go.
Thank you, mate. Cheers. That's really
You're absolutely welcome. So your winning lineup on DK, you had Hurts at quarterback, Rashad White, Zach Moss. Now, I have put Mark question mark because I know Mark wanted to speak on this. Obviously, Mark isn't here, but
No, that's fine.
we'll come back to it because I know you wanted to kind of defend that as well.
Yep.
Brown, Samuel, Sutton at receivers, a lot of production there. And then we've got Brevin Jordan and Laporta for the twin tight end build. Again,
Yep.
You don't see that very often. And if you're
I
going to
don't do it often.
well, no, me neither. You don't see it very often, but I like it because instantly, if you're talking about an edge and what makes you different, there will have been few lineups in the Ashes, if any, that will have also had a twin tight end build.
Yep.
But it's worked for you because Laporta's absolutely gone off. And Brevin Jordan really has hit his value at 9.4. Like, that's on the surface, doesn't look a fantastic score, but that's absolutely fine based on his price.
Yep.
And then we round off with the Patriots defense, 176.52 total. And then, yeah, I was just testing that the pen worked at the bottom there. That's what the scribble is. Yeah, Jack.
That's not your signature, is it?
It's absolutely not. But it resembles something similar, but no, it is not that.
Would you like me to sign it for you as well? And then you can frame it. You can frame it.
I might send this through, and you can sign it. We can have. Do you know what? Each time we win now, we can just have we can frame our lineups.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm definitely going to do one day when I get a proper office. I'm going to have all my winning ones all framed up. Yeah,
the 10K one right in the middle in a nice big frame.
Well, I'm hoping it'll be eclipsed soon. So we'll see. Let's get back to Moss in a minute. Let's start with the build itself. The stack. I went with Hurts, AJ Brown, and Deebo Samuel on the way back. Again, the reason why I went with this, I knew that Brock Purdy was going to be popular just because of the size of this contest. I mean, I think this contest, what is it, 500 people, Nick, is it?
Well, it's 500 entries, but it's not normally...
It never fills.
It's normally about 200 odd that are normally in it.
So I knew Brock Purdy was going to be popular. So again, I mentioned this the other week. I've done this the other week. I pivoted off Jared Goff to Justin Herbert in the same game environment. Same situation here. I wanted to pay up at the quarterback position, keep going on about it, but I wanted to pay up. I went and got Jalen Hurts, which is fine. Jalen Hurts is a great DraftKings quarterback because they do that stupid Philly tush push thing that they do, which we've seen the Texans try and do this week and got their best player injured by doing it. So yeah, just lots of value with Jalen Hurts. It wasn't his best game, but it wasn't he was fine. He returned value with 23.92 points here. AJ Brown was fine as well with the 22.40 points. I wanted a piece on the way back, but because I'd already paid up with Hurts and AJ Brown, it forced me to go cheaper on the way back, and it was either Kittle or Deebo Samuel, and I'd already locked in Brevin Jordan and Laporta by this point. So I was like, well, I can't play another tight end, so it's going to have to be Deebo Samuel. So I went with Deebo Samuel. I mentioned in our chat I wasn't comfortable with it just because I didn't see that game coming from him. I mean, he went nuts, but he returned great value, especially at his price. He was like, what was he, like 5,000 something, 5,900 or something like that last week?
He's always the cheaper of the two, isn't it? Ayuk is always the more expensive.
Yep. So there's the game stack that I wanted to build in. And then I wanted a mini game stack within this build as well. So I've gone for Cortland Sutton and the Brevin Jordan experience there. Brevin Jordan, way too cheap. He was going to be the number one tight end on that offense. Like you say, Nick, 9.40 points. He was 2,500, I think, on the slate. It was, way too cheap. So he was essentially a free square. And Cortland Sutton, Russell Wilson's only got eyes for one receiver. I saw so many plays in that game where Jerry Jeudy was wide open, and Wilson is just fixated with Cortland Sutton. Even if he's in like double coverage, he's fixated with it. Got a bit lucky with Cortland Sutton because it wasn't a great game by him, but he did get in the end zone, which is fine.
Yeah, it's enough.
Yeah, I've already mentioned Sam Laporta, so I won't bang on about that again. I'm picking on the Saints at tight end. I wanted a piece of that game. It was in the dome. So I wanted some exposure to that game. And again, all the pieces in it were expensive. So the cheapest spot really was the Porter in a great matchup. So I was like, right, we'll lock the Porter in. Rashad White, again, I've been picking on the Panthers for weeks. They're awful against running backs. They've given up, I think it's 20 touchdowns now to running backs on the season. They're awful against running backs. So I just lock whatever running backs playing them. Unfortunately, again, like we'll go back to this week, they're playing the Saints. So if you're going to play Alvin Kamara, be prepared for the Taysom Hill experience that's going to happen this week. But I've been picking, they're another team I pick on. And then the Patriots defense, I mean, I didn't really care. Like Justin Herbert can throw turnovers. That game was outside in the wet, cold, up in Boston. So, anything can happen there. And they were, again, very cheap. They were like 2,400 on the site, very cheap, nice salary relief. Again, I don't care at defense. I just play the home defense that I know could force a turnover or two and get there. And the Patriots were just fine for that. Zach Moss. So this guy I knew would be popular in this build, and I've just explained with the rest of my build, I've already got totally different to the field in this tournament. So I needed to save at the running back position. In hindsight, I should have played I could have got to Chuba Hubbard above him. But hindsight's a great thing. We don't have a crystal ball when we're picking these things. So I knew the matchup was tough against the Titans. But if you told me a running back was going to get 21 touches last week and put up the score that he did, I wouldn't have believed you. So, as I've said, I know Mark doesn't like it, but I've already got totally unique with the rest of my lineup. I didn't need to get fancy at that position again. Yeah, sure, I could have got up to Chuba Hubbard. But again, that's hindsight. And if I was to go back and build this build again, I'd play Zach Moss all over again.
Yeah. I think I don't really have an issue with the Moss play, even though I didn't play him myself because I actually leveraged off and played Titans D. I don't mind the play because in this contest specifically, he was 64% owned. Yeah. So even if he doesn't hit, he hasn't hit for 2/3 of the lineups that are in it. And I don't think that's a problem when some of the other pieces in your lineup are as low owned as they are. So, an example, Jalen Hurts was 7.3% owned. AJ Brown, 12.41% owned. This one might surprise you. Laporta, 2.19% ownership. So I don't mind the Moss play at all because, I mean, if this had been a cash lineup, you'd have expected him to be in there. Because this contest size only has about 200 people, 64%, so majority of the field, 2/3 of the field have played Moss. He's not hit. You're not that disadvantaged because you've got unique elsewhere and you've got production from elsewhere with lower owned players. And that's what kind of sets this lineup apart, I think.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like you say, the Porter at 2.2% got me across the line. I just didn't care. Was like, if I was to go back, I know Mark hates it. I didn't play Zach Moss in every lineup last week. For example, I played him in cash as well. He was in the 25 double up. He was like 80% owned. It was $25 double up, which is quite funny. I've never seen a player with such high ownership before. But I knew he would be popular in this contest because he allowed you to do so much with the rest of the build. But like I said, I've already got unique with Jalen Hurts and the way I've built that stack there, and I've 2.2% Sam Laporta. I would do the same thing all over again. I love the lineup. In hindsight, I wish I could have got to Chuba Hubbard and played him, but hindsight's a wonderful thing. If I had hindsight each week, I'd be a millionaire.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think in the contest size and given the ownership, it just doesn't hurt to have him. It would have hurt more had he have gone off and you didn't have him really with that kind of ownership. So the fact that he hasn't is fine. It's not panned out for 2/3 of the lineups, as I said, that are in the contest. Like it's almost 2/3 at least. It's neither here nor there. It's the way that you've built the rest of your lineup, and that we've spoke about this briefly before, but that kind of combinatorial, whatever the word is, that ownership. Hurts is low owned. Stacking Hurts with Browns, also stacking Hurts with Samuel for the game stack will have been low owned, I'm sure. Jordan and Sutton together, though the ownership on them both was somewhere around 15, I think 15% for Sutton, and I think Brevin Jordan was in the 20s, lower than he should have been really for his price. But again, how many people will have had both? Barely anyone at all had Laporta. So it's a great lineup, Jack, and I like the correlation throughout it. It's good, well deserved.
I know because Leon finished second in this contest, and he was fuming that the Eagles bought out Hurts for like that. I mean, I don't even know why they bought him back out, because he went out of the game with a concussion. Then they brought him back in, and then like by this point they were a good like 40. Sorry, they were a good like 25 points down. And there's like 3 minutes to go on the clock, and they brought him back in. I was just like, "All right, I'll take that. I don't care who he throws to. Just get points. Like just drive down the field." And he did. He drove down the field. I don't think they got a touchdown out of it, but he just drove down the field for a while. And I was just like, "That's great." I was getting worried with it though, because there was the guy who so the two of them come joint third. I'm looking at it now. One of them had Kyron Williams. And then McVay was insistent of getting Williams in the end zone. I was just like, oh my God, this guy's going to overtake me. I was like, just let him. Who did the Rams play last week? The Browns. I was just like, Cleveland, please just like let him pull off like a 15-yard run and get in. I don't want it to be, I'm getting 4 yards and then getting another 4 yards. I don't want it built up like that. Like, just let him get in the end zone, and then that be the end of it. And thankfully, that's kind of what happened. So I was he stayed away in the end. But that was the one person that could have caught me last week, who had Kyron Williams. I was not playing Kyron Williams in that matchup against the Browns, but he got there. He done well again, Kyron, and mentioned this to you, didn't I, the other day about the Rams, that they're a much better team when they established a run. So
I know you and Mark mentioned it last week as well. Like I said to you early in the season, the games where we lose, look at how much we run the ball compared to the games we win. It's a direct correlation, and our offensive line is somewhat underrated, I would say, especially in that kind of zone run scheme where we seem to do really well, and we've got receivers that are willing to block as well. Puka Nakua's a really good blocking receiver. Cup's always thrown himself about in that department as well. So it helps running the kind of outside schemes as well. The little toss plays and stuff like that. But yeah, well done, Jack. Joining that exclusive club of Ashes winners. I'm two-time. So there's still a little bit. Yeah, but I'm sure
when you take down the big ones, Nick, then you can come and talk to me. So until that day, mate, you are you stay below in the pecking order, I'm afraid.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, I've got a 10k to catch up. I have had 4 figures, but 5 is a little bit outside of the remit at the moment. I don't know why the balloons have just popped up on the screen for me. I don't know what's going on there at all.
I quite liked it. It's cool.
I liked it as well. But I don't know how it happened. DFS drama, shall we say, Jack? I know it was on the topics list as DFS drama.
Yeah.
I saw a tweet, and I can't remember who it was, but it's a well-known DFS player who has won the Millie Maker in the past, I think.
Won it 6 times.
Had something to say about the sim tools, the simulations. Thoughts on the tweet? Thoughts on the state of DFS, the drama, the sims?
The thing is, I don't really know what to believe half the time that you see on Twitter nowadays, because it's I don't know if these people do it for like engagement farming, so to speak. I don't know if he's done that to just get a reaction, or has he meant it, or is he part of? He could be part of Stochastic, for example. He could be inside there, and like he's getting a cut of it. You don't know, do you? Like, so yeah, he had a little. Well, with, I'll do it how I see it, but it for all him, it could be engagement farming of some sort. But he's basically gone off on one at Stochastic for inventing sim tools and projections that have ruined the game of DFS. And this is a guy that's won the Millie Maker 6 times. And I mean, no, if he was upset, no wonder he was upset. Like he'd lost, it outlaid $250,000. I think that was his outlay on DraftKings.
And he'd won like what 12,000.
Yeah. So he had a massive loss. I mean, if you're playing with $250,000, then yeah, I mean, you must be able to afford to do that for starters. Like it's, I don't really have any sympathy for you. I love it. We've had a bit of a chuckle tonight. It's not going to work out because of the scoreline, but I noticed something in the tournament. I'm not going to call the guy out, but I noticed something in a soccer tournament tonight. But that guy's probably doing what I do, where you research lineups and things like that, go back and look over lineups. But yeah, it was quite funny tonight that maybe I'm on someone's radar. I did find it quite funny. So yeah, grow up and it, like, if it's engagement farming, whatever. Like I see so much of that on Twitter nowadays, and it's just whatever. If you've got to get your kicks, then get your kicks. But for someone that's won the Millie Maker 6 times and his outlay was $250,000 and he's only won 12,000 back, I don't really have any sympathy for him, to be honest.
No, I completely agree. And I think to say the sim tools have killed DFS, I think if you're in those kind of contests where he's max entering, then yes, obviously it's given a lot of people a leg up. But if you've got a problem with that, then go and play single entry where the sim tools are still useful, but you're hand building your lineups, and I always think with those kind of mass entry kind of lineups, some of the skill is taken away from playing DFS, because once you've got the bankroll to be able to do that, there are tools and optimizers out there that will solve the maths equation for you. You tell it what you like, and it does the rest. Like there's nothing. There isn't more to it. I'm making it sound simpler than it actually is, because otherwise we'd all be, we'd all have thousands and thousands in the bank. But there is still like a skill to the kind of the lower entry and the hand building. We play EuroLeague. There's luck involved, obviously, but there's also skill in terms of like how you build your lineup and stacking the right game, stacking the right players. So I think I agree with you. I have no sympathy whatsoever for someone that has lost 6 figures. If you're putting in 6 figures into DFS in the first place, like, God help you. And if it's that big of a deal and you feel so passionately about it, you spit the dummy out, then put your money elsewhere. I mean, 6 Millie Maker wins. You've obviously done something right along the way, and probably taken advantage of something that came before the Sims tools to get to that point. Like there'll be something before that that's allowed you to get those 6 wins. Like DFS is just an evolving game.
So I had this. Like, I put something on Twitter yesterday, and someone messaged me, "Oh, like, how did you get to that lineup?" and things like that. And I was just like, because I tell my brain, like to say, I know that these guys. We mentioned it here. I know that these guys are playing with optimizers, Sims tools, the lot, projections. They've got everything at their disposal. They're sharks at the end of the day. That's what they are. So I have a process my DFS process is I'm going to tell my brain to do the complete opposite to what all of their tools are going to tell them to do. And it's worked out pretty well for me over the last few years. Like it's not, you know, I mentioned this last week. You got to be prepared to finish last in every tournament for a while, but eventually it's going to pay off. So yeah, I again, I'm the same as you. I've got no sympathy for this guy. It could be. I actually think it is engagement farming of some sort. But even if it's not, I have no sympathy for him. The guy's won the Millie Maker 6 times. I've already told you what I would do if I won the Millie Maker once, and that'd be it. I would close everything, and that would be it. See you later.
Yeah, bounce.
Yeah, because that's the pinnacle. All right. Oh, I've won it 6 times. Wow. Okay. Well done, mate. Seriously, that's the pinnacle. You win it once, that'd be it. That would be it. See you later. I'm gone.
Indeed. Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, I guess there isn't a lot more to say on that, Jack, but I did find it interesting when I saw that because, like you said, there was quite a bit of engagement on it as well.
I mean, he is right with Sims tools in regards to this was a main slate that he was bitching about, so I really don't have any sympathy for him. But with the Sims tools, have killed Showdown. I mean, everyone this year has been split. Like, there's been no one's winning a Showdown outright. So,
no.
And listeners tonight, if you want Jack's crazy brain, everyone's going on defense tonight. So, Jack's crazy brain is doing the complete opposite. There you go.
Well, yeah, I was going to come to Showdown actually because obviously we've got a game tonight. It's not a thrilling game by any stretch. The Steelers and the Patriots. In years gone by, it might have been, but these are two very different Steelers and Patriots teams. I was contemplating the double defense tonight, Jack, but I haven't looked at the ownership. Like, is defense looking like that?
It's very high. It's very, very high, the defense. I am playing a wide receiver at the captain spot tonight, and I'm also. I think Trubisky will be fine tonight. I really do. This is in Pittsburgh. If this game had been in New England, then I might have had a bit of a different thought on the game. But it's not. It's in Pittsburgh tonight. I like Trubisky tonight. He's already come out and said that he's going to air it out, which I think. I mean, is he that much worse than Kenny Pickett? Let's be honest. Like, it's not. Kenny Pickett's not exactly good, is he? Like, so it's at least with Trubisky, he's a bit like, I suppose he's Jameis Winston light. He's not as good as Jameis, but at least you're going to get him airing the ball out, and he just doesn't care. Like, he's fighting for his career. He's going to have to put up a decent showing tonight. He's fighting for his career at the end of the day. So, if everyone wants to play defense, go ahead and do it. I will go the complete opposite way tonight, and I'm quite happy to do that. And if it bites me, it bites me. But like I said, I go into every slate with a mindset of what I'm going to do. I've done it at the weekend. I said I wanted to pay up at quarterback. I did. Worked out lovely. I've got a mindset tonight. I know what I'm doing. Or I've already built my lineup tonight. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, fair. Absolutely fair. I think I was gonna go double defense. I thought low scorer tonight, so I was thinking double defense with Boswell sprinkled in, and that pretty much lets you go anywhere you want. I don't really like any of the plays tonight. It's one of them games where I look at it and I just think, there's just nothing really to like. Like you said, Trubisky, and I agree. I don't think he's that much worse, if at all.
I think the difference is Kenny Pickett's probably safer. He's probably the guy that he's kind of like Mac Jones in that regard.
Yeah.
He's not really gonna do anything stupid, whereas Trubisky will. I mean, he's not scared to throw it deep. Right? He has got an arm on him. So, but obviously we know what happens when these guys decide that they want to throw deep. So, I I've got a mindset. I don't even hate Trubisky in the captain spot tonight. No one plays quarterbacks in the captain spot anymore in Showdown. I've noticed. So I know we're not talking about picks and plays and that, but it's just something I'm trying to get you into my theory, my mindset. If you're playing a single entry and you're going up against all these sims are chucking in defenses left, right, and centre. Not just in the captain spot, in the flex spot. I am playing no defense tonight at all, anywhere.
I think as well with Trubisky playing, obviously, the practice aside, he comes into this game without any real bias.
Yeah.
So whereas another, like you said, Pickett's favourite target might be Deontay Johnson, for example.
Yeah.
He doesn't really have any kind of bias, so I quite like him in the captain spot, because if you think he might have a decent game but you're a little bit concerned about where the ball might go, having someone like that in the captain spot and then paying down at a couple of positions, still going to let you put some skill players into your lineups. I think what stops a lot of people doing that in Showdown is the quarterbacks are normally just so expensive.
Yeah.
But
not the case tonight.
Yeah, not that exactly. And I think you look at some of the other pieces, like I like the pathway to workload that Zeke has, but in the same breath, I don't really like.
He's expensive tonight, but he's expensive tonight, but he's fine anyway, because I mean I think he got near enough 100 yards, all-purpose yards last week anyway, receiving and rushing. So I mean he's fine. I don't mind Zeke, and I mean you kind of need him to get in the end zone.
I don't particularly, that's it. I don't particularly like the game script, but there's always that element where he could find the end zone. You would think he's probably going to be minimum 15 carries maybe tonight. So I guess it's what he does with that. But I just don't really like much. Najee Harris, who has been okay in recent weeks, but he's coming in banged up. I say he's been okay. Wasn't great last week. Jalen Warren has
been awful last week.
all the last 2 weeks, really. Do you pivot and maybe go to him? I don't. It's a tricky one this tonight, but I don't mind the Trubisky in the captain spot. Don't mind that at all. And
I mean, I'm not doing that. I've already told you I'm playing the wide receiver in the captain spot, but I have noticed that there's less and less people are doing that, basically.
Yeah, indeed. The last thing for us then, Jack, before we call it a night and go and review how much we've lost at EuroLeague, is to have a little look at this past week's winning lineup on game day. For anyone who hasn't joined Game Day just yet, Fantasy Gameday App, we have a code, which is Jack
TDS for D, and that will get you a free entry after your initial deposit and initial entry.
TDS 4D, and as Jack said, your initial entry, you're then getting a free entry after that. So there you go. Go and take advantage of that. Several people already have, so thank you very much for those that have signed up using our sign-up code. Much appreciated, and enjoy your free entries. So this past week, winning lineup, Tyreek Hill, captain, is becoming a popular captain pick. He feels like he's kind of slipping into the early season. If you remember, everyone had McCaffrey. Yeah. He kind of feels like he's slipping into that. Sam Howell at quarterback. His two running backs was Zach Moss and Chuba Hubbard. So crystal ball there. Pittman, Collins were his two receivers, and he then triples up on receiver, actually quadruples up on receiver if you class in Hill as well, but goes with Olave in the flex. And then he does pick Laporta at tight end. Jack, thoughts on this winning lineup?
It's just one of them, isn't it? It's just where it's all bits and pieces, and there's not a lot of correlation going on. I've mentioned lineups like this in the past that I don't think they'll win every week. Occasionally, you'll get one that pops like this one has.
Yeah.
I mean, the only correlation you've got is Olave and Laporta in the same game, isn't it?
You've got Howell and Hill and Laporta and Olave, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you're not stacking anyone with Howell, has he? I mean, he's kind of lucked out really that Howell rushed in 2 touchdowns himself last week rather than
Yeah, because he didn't do
throwing.
much else.
No. So he's kind of lucked out with Howell there. Moss was, chalky, cheap play anyway, which was totally fine. Again, I don't want to criticize someone that's just won. It's very hard. I would find it hard to believe that a lineup like this wins a lot of the time, to be honest. It has this week, so congratulations. There's no correlation within the lineup. He's hit kind of every spot outside of Zach Moss and Sam Howell. Like he had that Chuba Hubbard play, like I mentioned last week, like I mentioned earlier. Sorry, but yeah, there's no outside the Laporta and the Larvae. There's no correlation. There's not really. It's just odds and sods, and they've all gone off basically.
As you said, hard to be critical when it's a lineup that's won, but I do tend to agree. Tyreek Hill, I don't mind that as a captain pick at all. Howell has been productive.
I mean, he was fine. Like he's got, the guy's lucked out really that he hasn't, because if he'd thrown them touchdowns, then this could have gone another way.
That's the difference, because I'm just having a little look at his stats here, and gut feel was correct on it. But in previous weeks, he has had a little bit of rushing upside, but not massively. A lot of his points have come from his yardage thrown, and he has had touchdowns as well through the air. He does seem to have at least a turnover a week thrown in there as well, Sam Howell. As you said, what saves him this week, a couple of rushing touchdowns, because he didn't have the air yards. He had 127 passing yards. So there's not much going through the air there. Moss, like you said, we don't see the ownership percentage on game day, but I imagine Moss would have been quite highly owned there. Hubbard, unsure on whether he would, I guess.
I don't think he would have been. He would have been like 2%.
Yeah, I think he would have been low, because who really has that much confidence in the Panthers' run game or the Panthers in general? Collins, I actually really quite liked Collins this week, because Tank Dell was going into the game with a questionable tag and then ends up on injured reserve because he picks up an injury in the game. So I actually picked a lot of Collins in my lineups this week. Any that I had Stroud in, at least. Pittman, I've said he's a safe play in the past, a bit digestive, but he is consistent, and he's seen a lot of targets every week, and especially with Taylor out, that probably increased his target volume anyway. So I don't mind that. And there's not a massive amount more in Indianapolis. Josh Downs is there, but Josh Downs had quite a few drops the week before as well. Olave, I like Olave. I don't like the quarterback situation in New Orleans, but I do like Olave.
Oh, they infuriate me, the Saints.
Sam Laporta, he hits on the same tight end as you, Jack, and that he's a low on tight end. He wins this slate by around 15 points, and that probably wins him the slate, that pick there, the Laporta pick. So yeah, I mean, like you said, it's not a lineup that's been assembled with a lot of correlation. It's a lot of fortunate that has hit on that week, which, if nothing more, shows that there are multiple ways to win at DFS and on Fantasy Game Day. But again, hard to be critical on a lineup that's won. I would think in most weeks across a season, this lineup may cash but wouldn't win.
Yeah. No, I agree. I can't see that lineup that winning each week personally. So yeah, I'm not being critical of it. So no one come at me. You won. Congratulations. Really happy for you. I just lineups like that don't win very often in DFS, but you've hit it this week. So congratulations.
Indeed. And there we have it, Jack. Another week in the books. So hopefully, Mark will be back with us next week. Not much left of the season now, so not of the regular season at least. So maybe we'll see if we can get a couple of guests in before the end of the season as well. Nothing more for me to add, but I have noticed, Jack, that your at Jack Humphrey DFS is no more, and you've actually changed your Twitter handle.
Yes, I have. Yeah. There'll be more information soon. So don't worry. I've
Like that, is it?
no, there will be. It's at JH4Do Media now. So
there we go. 4Do Media. You find me at Nick of Wigan, and cheers for tuning in again, guys. Good luck this week, and
yeah, good luck.
We'll see you next Tuesday.